Way back at the beginning of my writing journey, I had just one question that I was dying to know the answer to, and it was, how many pages will my book be? For whatever reason, this piece of information felt super important, like knowing all of my work would eventually total up to a certain number of pages when I held it in my hand would somehow unlock all the other mysteries of writing. I know now that in the writing industry, publishers and agents and authors discuss length of work in terms of word count, not pages. But if you're anything like me, you still just really want to know, how many pages is it going to be? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the common word count guidelines and show you samples of books that meet those guidelines. Through using these two pieces of information, you can get a rough estimate of how long your book will be. To begin, you can find your manuscript's word count by checking the bottom left-hand corner of your Word document. It'll be right there on the very bottom. Or if you're drafting a Google Doc, you can highlight all of the text and then go to Tools and Word Count. You should know that when a word processor is calculating the words, it counts every 6-ish characters as one word. So there's no need to go pull up the thesaurus and go hunting for the big words. For example, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious counts the exact same as I went to the New Delhi yesterday. Alrighty, you ready? Let's dig in. I'm going to start with picture books first. So when we're talking about picture books, almost every single picture book has exactly 32 pages. It's just an industry standard. There are some board books or baby books that have fewer or that are exceptions, but for the most part, every picture book has 32 pages. And their word count falls between 200 and 1,000 words with a common sweet spot at about 600. But there's a big variety there. So what you need to do is find a book on the bookshelf that looks similar to what you're hoping to produce, and then check out what the words look like on the page, and then check the word count. So for example, a wordless picture book like Journey has a word count of 0, no words on any pages. It is just the art that's telling the story. A classic like Llama Llama Red Pajama has 232 words in it. So if you're looking at your text and you have shorter sentences like this, maybe rhyming, this might be a good comp title for you in looking at how the words look on that page. Something a little bit longer, like the Polar Express, is 1,054 words. So if you have more narrative to your story and more text, like this one, then that's going to be a better comp title and know how the words are going to look on the page. So for picture books, it's not really like how many pages is my book going to be. It's how many words and how are those going to look on the page. When we get to middle grade fiction, so fiction for grades like 3 through 7, 4 through 8, kind of in that upper elementary range, the word count guideline is anywhere from about 20,000 words to 55,000 words. And so here are a couple examples of that. Because of Winn-Dixie, written by Kate DiCamillo, this is 22,000 words, 22,123 words. And then when we look at the page count, it has a total of 180 pages, 182 pages. Now, you'll notice that these pages are a little bit shorter than like the traditional print of a book. And so size is going to play some sort of a factor too, size of the font. But again, it'll just give you a rough estimate. Mercy Suarez Changes Gears is also considered a middle grade book, and this goes to the higher end. It's 62,205 words. Now, again, those guidelines that I've shared with you, middle grade 20,000 to 55,000, it is a guideline, and there are people who break those guidelines. But if you're new and you're just starting out, it's really good idea not to be the exception. Meg Medina has published many books before, many award-winning books before. She gets a little bit of leeway. You, brand new you need to stick within the guidelines, okay? When we switch to young adult novels, there's a couple different categories. So regular, just general fiction young adult or contemporary young adult, the word count is about 60 to 85,000 words. A good example would be Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. It's 78,179 words. And if we get that into a page count, it gets us to 328 words. Again, this is very common size, very common print size, font size, and so a great example of just finding a book, checking the word count, checking the pages, and then comparing your manuscript against it. Okay, science fiction and fantasy, us nerdy souls, apparently we are welcome to enjoy longer-winded authors, more story. So for science fiction and fantasy young adult, the word count is a bit higher. It's 70 to 100,000 words. And a great example, a book that I love, is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and this is 102, 956,000 words. So again, find the genre, find a sample book, check the word count, and then measure yours against it. When we go into the adult genres, the first one that I want to talk about is novella. So a novella is a short story. 10,000 to 40,000 words are in that. And a great example would be An Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett. It's British fiction. It's funny. I love the story. It's great, but that's not what this video is about. This is 30,000 words, and it is 120 pages exactly. So a nice, short, quick little read, novella, 30,000 words. General fiction is anything over 50,000 words and under 100,000 words. They kind of say the sweet spot is like that 80,000 word mark for general fiction, highly commercial fiction. A great example would be The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and that is 76,000 words. And the page count comes in, I'm trying not to look at the words because I haven't finished reading this book yet, 288. I'm about halfway through. So 288 pages is common for adult general fiction. Again, when we get into the science fiction or historical fiction time period pieces where there's more details and the reader is willing to spend a little bit more time with the story, it can creep up into the more than 100,000 words, but you need to know your genre and what you're looking for. Another very popular genre in adult reading is memoir and self-help. And in that, I'm looking here at my notes, that is anywhere from 50 to 85,000, and that can look really different depending on the range. So here's one at the lower end of that range. Anna Kendrick's Scrappy Little Nobody is 52,200 words, and that comes in at a page count of 271. And then something a little higher in that is Glennon Doyle's Untamed, and that was almost 100,000 words. So again, a little bit past what they say the guideline is, and Glennon gets to do that. And so her 100,000 word book is 328 pages. So again, even within the same genre, you're going to have some ones that are on the lower end and ones that are on the higher end. It doesn't make it better or good or worse, or it's just different. But pay attention to those guidelines and use them. Here was one I was talking about, science fiction and fantasy for adults. Queen of the Tearling is amazing. I love it. 126,150. And this is deceiving because this book doesn't look like all that huge, but it does have a high word count. And part of that is that the words are a little bit smaller on the page. Also, these pages are a little bit thinner. And so that also comes into play, but it still does have 447 pages. So you can see the difference between this had 328 and it was 100,000 words. This has 447 pages and it's 126,000 words. So it helps you to know what it actually looks like by seeing examples. The last one I want to talk to you about is nonfiction. Nonfiction guidelines, when I looked them up on the internet, I don't write nonfiction, so this was new to me, but they said 50 to 75,000 words for nonfiction guidelines. But when I looked at every single nonfiction book that I'd read in my house, they were all over 75,000 words. So I don't know if it's just the books that I've particularly picked or what, but here's one example that I had, The Lost City of the Monkey God. It's fantastic. It's like modern day Indiana Jones. Again, not the point. But 91,000 words in this book, and it is about 304 pages. So all sorts of examples here to help you get a better idea of how word count translates into number of pages. Okay, so here's how you do it. Look for a book on your bookshelf, a book that you'd love for yours to sit alongside, maybe at Barnes & Noble or Target or your favorite indie bookstore. Pick a book that belongs to the same genre you're writing and then Google its word count. Then check your own word count. Are you in the ballpark? Do you have more to add, or do you need to do some editing and revising to whittle it down a bit? Once you get within the range I've shared with you, check the number of pages in that ideal comp title, and voila, that is approximately how many pages will be in your book. I hope you found this information helpful and will come back to learn more from me on the Take Action Author Plan Challenge channel. If you're already ready to dig into self-publishing a little bit more, head over to my website and check out my courses and begin taking action yourself. Happy writing! If you like this video, check out a few of my others, like this one, 4 Ways to Design a Book Cover, or How to Prioritize Your Writing Time and Get Others to Respect It as Well, or How Much Does It Cost to Self-Publish a Book on Amazon's KDP. Don't forget you can also check out my course, The Take Action Author Plan, on my website, www.amandaziba.com.